ain't gonna bite you. I just want you to hang on. All right. Sounding like an empire to me.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. This is Coach Rowe. We're on the Coach Rowe Show. I got my man Iggy from the Iggity Biggity.
What's going on, Rowe?
His mama called him Lewis.
Dog.
Yeah, it's okay. We got it, man. We got Big Al on the boards. And where's the icon, man?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, there's the icon.
The doorbell ring.
Right on time. Will. Woo, the icon.
Without me.
Well, we got a great guest today. I'm excited to interview him. And he played for Lincoln High School.
Who?
He played for Oregon.
Yep.
Chicago Bears.
Yes.
From the Hive, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Lew Barnes.
Yeah.
Lew, L-E-W. L-E-W.
Yeah.
Not L-U-I-S.
That's Luis.
Get that straight.
Yes.
And we have his lovely daughter who is also an athlete.
Ooh.
Sydney is in the house from Olympian High School. Sydney, how you doing?
She didn't drive here. She just jumped here.
Yeah, she jumped here.
Jumped here. From
Long jumped and triple jumped all the way from the house. You know. Well, let's start off with Lew. Lew, man, what was it? He was no, not you, Lew.
Sorry about that.
That's why we call him Iggy and we call him Lew.
It's easier that way.
There you go.
Now, I heard a rumor that your nickname in high school was Left Foot.
Left foot, yeah.
Left Foot.
Yes. In high school, I was, well, look, okay, the history of it, Mike Sapp, a good friend of mine, had a Spanish teacher. Her name was Miss LaFoot. And so, but in high school, I was responsible. I did all the punts, I did all the kickoffs, and all of the field goals.
He was a kicker.
So they tied all that in, and I, tied it in. I was a kicker mostly. My junior year, I started off only kicking until I earned my opportunity to play defense. So that kind of just carried on, and that's where it started from.
Nice.
Okay.
Left
Makes
Foot.
sense now.
Yeah. But a Spanish teacher with a French name, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Left Foot.
He was cool. Miss LaFoot.
Were you a toe kicker?
Yes. Straight ahead.
Yeah.
Old
school.
Old school. Yeah. Old school. I shared with Gerard Stutz. He did kickoffs and I did
Stutz did kickoffs?
No, he didn't.
Stutz actually kicked off straight toe and kicked the field goal on the 40.
No wonder he has a bad back.
Wow.
Incredible
I didn't know that. Yeah, I knew he was an awesome athlete.
Awesome. He actually triple jumped also.
What?
He was a heck of a jumper.
Man.
It had to be like 50 pounds to go.
Yeah, he was an incredible athlete.
Nice. So, did you kick a field goal in the game? What was your longest field goal? Or
no, actually,
you guys didn't kick field goals. You guys just scored.
We had a record for it lasted for a while for most PATs.
Okay.
Because we did score a lot.
Yeah.
So I think I had a significant amount of PATs consecutive in a row. Never any distance. I wasn't projected as a kicker.
Yeah.
But I did kick a field goal in my senior year.
Okay.
We won the CIF championship, and a field goal was really critical. Our junior year, we went undefeated, and we won a game by 1 point. So that field goal or that PAT in that game,
that was it.
That was my part of my contribution as a junior to kind of hold on to that, make sure that we were undefeated that year.
Now, what year was it? Who were some of your teammates in those championship years?
Damon Allen.
Damon Allen. Okay.
As you know, he quarterbacked in Canada.
Yeah.
For several years and set the standards in Canada for passing. We had Leland Maddox, Carl LeBron, Elvin Geeston. Marlo Reed. We had Anthony Smith, who went on to play with the Jets.
Right.
It was low.
You guys were loaded.
We were loaded.
No wonder you won CIF.
Yes. We came up through a very, very, I should say, a great coaching environment through our Pop Warner experience. We had great coaches there, great mentors, great fathers, uncles type of characters that really instilled in us the hard work ethic that we needed to be successful. And when we got to high school, it was actually, we expected to win.
Right.
My mother actually wanted me to go to school in another state my junior year, and it's like, there's no way in the world I'm leaving. Not this year, because I knew how well we were going to be,
right.
how good we were going to be. Actually, our 10th grade year, after Marcus and their team won CIF,
right.
we went up there and I think we tied varsity.
Oh,
Our JV team.
Whoa.
So we had a lot of really good talent.
Wow.
On that came up through the Pop Warner and transitioned into high school.
And so you guys had athletes that could play multiple positions and
Yep.
do all kind of good stuff.
Yeah, they just we knew football. We understood I guess the biokinetics of football, if you speak in these terms. We understood how to play, the mentality it took, the physical, the positioning, and then you combine that with a bunch of great athletes and you have a lot of success. And then we had great coaches. Big Player was a great coach. We had Luther Courtney and Mel. It was just a great environment. It was a really great environment. And if you remember, we went and we won CIF with Morris. First year they went 2A, 3A. And then the next year we went back and we won again. They also, that junior year, went to CIF for basketball. And then our Lincoln, yeah. And then we went to our senior year. We were one game away from a baseball CIF championship.
and not without a bunch of controversy.
Oh yeah, always controversy.
Yeah.
Always controversy. There was a lot. I mean, there's a lot of as I reflect back on it, there's a lot of racism that we dealt with. It was always a challenge getting fair calls, and so we had the mentality that we always had to come in and play to our best, knowing that we didn't expect to get calls.
And see, then it was like a majority black team.
Yeah, it was not majority. Yeah. We had it was
everybody.
It was a whole. We had I think one kid that might have been he was
Hispanic.
No, it wasn't. No, there wasn't any. I don't remember any Hispanic kids being on the football team.
No, baseball.
Baseball. Yes,
I'm talking about the baseball team.
We had some great Hispanic athletes that that played on our baseball team.
Okay.
There were 2 or 3 kids that were. They were exceptional baseball players.
What position did you play?
Played left field.
Okay.
Left field, and then we had a guy named Kevin Jones, called him BK. He played center, and then there was another young, I forget who played right field for us. But we were pretty good in baseball.
What about the lineup, the batting order? Were you first, second?
Oh
third?
no, that's what I lost my batting. I didn't bat real well, so I was down in the batting.
Oh,
in
really?
the batting, yeah, I just didn't have enough training, enough background to really be consistent batting.
Oh, they put you in center field,
No, left field.
left field.
Yeah, left
Because
field.
of speed.
Because of speed, and the guy that played center was faster than I was. If you remember Paul Day?
Oh,
That
damn.
sounds
Went to
familiar.
Kearney?
Yeah.
He
Paul
ran track
Dang,
for
it
Kearney.
was
He
track.
was like a CIF.
CIF, one of the
Cat,
CIF.
yeah.
He and Kevin Shields. Well, BK was right in that category of speed.
Is that right?
Yes, Kevin Jones. He was outstanding. And then on that CIF baseball team we had 2 of the top 3 pitchers in San Diego County.
Wow.
Darius.
No,
Damon.
Damon Allen and Michael Owens.
Interesting. Wow.
Michael
Owens was in the top
man.
3.
Big Mike.
Big Mike was.
Is that right?
Yes,
Oh,
Mike was
okay,
a talent.
cool.
Mike had a bunch of talent, and so we had those two bombs on the mound,
Wow.
and we dealt with it. We dealt with it, and we went into a game, and we were winning. And this was probably simply one of the most traumatic things in my life. We went into a game and we were winning probably by 6 points and going into the last of the innings of the baseball. And referee stopped calling strikes. 24 straight balls.
Oh,
24.
24 straight balls between 2 of the top 3 pitchers in San Diego County. And we lost. Yeah. So,
Man,
that,
there.
yeah, something like that. So it was one of those things you look back and it's something that you never forget.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of is what it is. You move on. We were
And
still
it's a lesson.
successful.
You know,
Oh, it's always a
Yeah.
lesson.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a lesson. But you learn, you know, and it didn't create hatred. It just created a bunch of despise. I don't hate people for that. I don't tie that to any one group of people, but it just kind of, you know, makes you aware that the potential is there, and you should always have to play and perform to your fullest to make sure that you create an opportunity for yourself.
Amen.
So football, baseball, any track, or anything?
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, I was a wrestler also in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
What
wrestling.
weight were you?
I weighed 126, wrestled 130 something, and then when my junior
126.
in the 10th grade.
She had
Yeah,
that chuckle.
yeah, exactly. I was 126 in the 10th
Take him,
grade.
huh?
She tried. They tried. She explained to you. I'll push the sofas back at home. Real quick. When they want to figure it out, whenever they feel like, you know, her mom and my two daughters, whenever they feel like they want to challenge for the throne, we move the sofas back, and then we get up to the side. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get out. And so, so we kind of keep the balance there.
But if she take off running, it's a wrap.
You know what? I could probably have caught her maybe when she was in the 8th grade. After then, it just got bad. I'd stick with her for like first 30 yards maybe. But after that, it just ain't happening.
Separation.
That's when the separation kicks in. These lungs and these old muscles, they just don't. They can't do it. Mentally, I'm good. Physically, you know how I go. Be 54 this year, and just certain things you just can't do like you used to.
Yeah, everybody here can agree to that, except for Iggy.
Mentally, you're gone.
Yeah, I can't do it. But it's been great. It's been really. I'm really excited this year. I have my daughter here with me. I'm really proud of her and all of her accomplishments. When you interview, you'll talk to her about it. But she's just done an outstanding job. Yeah, and it's just really a blessing.
We're gonna get on that. We're gonna get on your upbringing too in a minute.
Okay.
Take a little break right now. We have Lew Barnes here. We have his lovely daughter Sydney, who goes to Olympian High School.
The lovely icon.
The icon, who was right on time again, without the donuts. My man Iggy from the Iggity Biggity in the house. Big Al on the boards. We'll be right back on KBLKRadio.com. Hey, we're back on the Coach Rowe Show. I am Coach Rowe. Got my man Iggy.
Yo, yeah.
Mama call him Lewis.
Bro.
Got the icon.
In the house.
Got Big Al on the boards.
Hey.
Our special guest today, Lew Barnes, LaFoot from Lincoln High School.
Left foot.
And his lovely daughter, Sydney, from Olympian High School, track star. Lew, let's get to the upbringing. Like, what's the earliest signs of born and raised San Diego?
Born and raised here in San Diego. The story was a friend of my parents, when I was about 3 years old, said he's going to make it to the NFL.
Oh, okay.
And my mother, reminded me of that as when I eventually got drafted a long time ago. Like I said, I was about 3 or 4 years old. Grew up on Salola. Went to Knox. Went to several elementary schools. Ended up high school to Lincoln. Played my youth sports with the Initial Park and the South Crest for baseball. Look, my parents are originally from Kansas City area.
Okay.
My mother worked here in the city schools with Project Follow Through, so she worked with helping a lot of kids get medical and get proper medical treatments. Our family, a little bit of background on our family. My mother helped establish the NAACP in the Kansas City area, and my cousins were actually the first to integrate certain schools in the Kansas City area.
Wow.
Yeah, and my father out here raised me. He was from the Kansas City area also, and he was one of the founding members of the Black Firefighters Contractor Brothers United here in San Diego.
Okay.
So that's a little background on my family environment. My church, I was raised in Mount Airy Baptist Church. That's where I got all of my formal religious training through Reverend Wells, who has been an outstanding teacher for me, an outstanding example and it really provided me with all of my spiritual foundation.
Nice.
And like I said, attended Lincoln High School. I went to Mesa College.
Okay.
I was there for 2 years, and then I received a scholarship to the University of Oregon. Back when they were not the Oregon that they are today. But I made all Pac-10 3 years. I was the only 2-year captain in Oregon's history that I know of as of right now. I don't think they've had any 2-year captains.
Right.
And then drafted into the NFL.
You're also
Chicago
All-American,
Bears.
weren't you?
Yes, All-American. Played in the
Kick returner.
Wide receiver.
wide receiver. I made my first year Pac-10 was a kick returner, and then my junior and senior year was as a receiver.
At 130 pounds?
No,
Oh,
that's high school. When I left
Well, that was
Oregon,
only a couple years.
yeah, but when I left Oregon,
Like with
I
Mesa.
went into the NFL at 163.
Okay. That's more like it.
Yeah,
Well, that's
But
small too. For
it's still
Yeah,
very. It was still very small.
Even then?
Even then, it was small. But like I said, the way I was raised in my neighborhood, and the coaching environment, and the ethics that we were taught, I was 163. I was benching 350.
Oh.
So it wasn't. Hard work was not a problem for us, for the guys that I grew up with. We knew what it took. We were those kids that worked hard, they committed, and we played hard. We were taught to. There was no crying. There was no go home to your mama.
Everybody get a trophy for participation.
No. You earned everything you got. We were taught, we earned, and it was amazing. When I went to Oregon, as I moved on, that kid's from Lincoln, so we had that.
Right?
Yeah, we had.
okay.
That it was known. When you came out of Lincoln, there was an expectation, and there was a standard that everybody expected. And that's what really what got us through. We set a standard of performance, of commitment, of love for our community, and love for one another. We had a very tight knit team environment.
Okay.
And we played together, we partied together, we hung out together, and a lot of us still keep in touch.
So who was at Oregon when you were there? Who was the coach and all that?
It was Rich Brooks.
Okay.
Rich Brooks was the head coach there. When I got recruited to Oregon, the coaching staff changed.
Oh.
So the coaches that recruited me, by the time I got there, they had a whole new offense.
Oh, wow.
Ended up going under the offensive coordinator was Bob Toledo,
Oh,
who was here in San Diego
Yeah.
State for a while.
Yeah.
And I latched onto him. I understood his offense, and I tell guys now, you need to understand your offense as well as offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it on. I learned all the positions. Only position I couldn't play was quarterback,
Okay.
but I did play running back for a series at Oregon. Scored a touchdown, and played receiver. Knew all the receiver positions. Knew all of the tight end positions. Knew all the back responsibilities, and that's what allowed me to have a certain amount of success.
Cool.
So my foundation here was really critical. Was really key. The young men, the guys I played football with in the street were always 4 or 5 years older. Scott Byers, who went to Long Beach State, actually played for the Chargers, was one of my guys that really, kind of mentored and inspired me and kind of, brought me up.
So when y'all were playing street ball and yard ball, the guys that were 13, some of them would be 12 and 13, and you were like 11 and 9.
No,
or
I was
something.
like 9. They were 12, 13 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when me and my buddy, we played running back together in Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even fair when we played kids our age in football.
The same thing Dokie Williams shared with me. Remember Dokie?
Oh, yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing. He had like 3 older brothers,
Mhm.
and he would always, hang and compete with them.
With them, yeah.
So when it was time for him to play with kids his age, it was no contest.
It wasn't even fair.
Yeah.
We made reads in high school. We understood football in high school probably 3 years ahead of the game.
Wow.
So certain teams just had no success. If they didn't have the ability to overpower us, they lost, and if they couldn't outsmart us, then it was a disaster.
So speed was
Well, when you put the combination of strength, knowledge and speed on a football team, all you're going to have is success. I mean, we scored. We were number 1 offense and probably number 1 or 2 in defense.
Is that Oregon you talking about?
No.
Oh, Lincoln.
Yeah. When I got to Oregon, they won like 2 or 3 games. And so we were part of that shift. When Oregon started shifting around, we brought some more attention. They had Dan Fouts, Ahmad Rashad. They had a lot of historical players that come through there. But after a few years after us, they had a lot of great recruits, and this program just kind of turned around. Then Nike jumped on board.
All that money,
and decorated the team very well, so they made it very, very attractive. And then they had some great players, and they've always had good coaches. It's a good environment. It's a lot better now. They even have a street. The football stadium is on Martin Luther King Boulevard, which when I went back there several years ago,
they never even heard of Martin Luther King.
No, it was like, what? Martin Luther King. I was like, wow. So Oregon has made a lot of strides in reaching out and diversifying their efforts in the community, and it's really paying off for them. It's a great school to go. We got a kid from Lincoln there now, Tyree Robinson. Is still
Shout
there,
out.
and is doing a good job. Yeah.
Carrington.
So Carrington's there. Freeman from the Valley. You talking about a beast? That was a massive man child. So
our guy C.J. Verdell just committed.
Really?
From Mater Dei.
Yeah. Outstanding athlete.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of things that allowed. Very blessed. My spirituality I haven't always been the greatest, but who is at 17, 18 years old? But my spirituality has grown. My lifestyle is great. I've got a great lifestyle now. I've been married 26 years. July 1st. Got 2 beautiful daughters. Yeah. So, I count my blessings, and there's a lot of things that kind of got me here. A lot of support from my family. I had a good family environment. Grew up with a mom and dad in the house.
So you're not going to sit up here and tell us about how moms was in and out of prison and.
No. My mother, our environment was all about community. My mother her whole thing was serving community.
Okay.
That's what it was all about. And we reaped the benefits of that because we saw her out in the community. She was always involved in the community, always helping kids. I had most of my friends knew me because they knew my mother. Right. If you remember Project Follow Through, she would take kids to the dentist, to doctor's appointments, to make sure that their health was, and that was all over Southeast San Diego.
Well, maybe we should have her here instead of you.
She removed the sofas apart.
It wasn't no joke at home. I said we got back then. And we got whippings on like a clock. I think she had an alarm. You know what? It's whooping time.
Because I know you done. I didn't see you, but I know you done something. You're gonna do something.
But you know what? It kept us nice and focused. It kept us focused.
And it wasn't whooping night now.
Well, she didn't make no excuses for it. She knew we were boys, and we were typical boys in the neighborhood. If somebody said we broke a window, she didn't say my kid didn't do that. Right. She paid for it. And then we paid for it. So, it was that's how it was. And, your sons did this. Okay, well, here, we'll pay for it. Now y'all go and get up in the house. Yeah. And
you know what's coming.
So, well, I tell you, I learned early, I tell you this story. I learned early, I ain't messing around with Pops. Pops hit you a little different than Mom's. And it got to the point where I say, Mom, you hurt. I know your hand is sore by now. By the time I was 11, 12, it's really, you're not doing anything. Pops, he hit me, he got me once. I think I was probably 5. And I kept making too much noise in the bed. And he was one of those say, hey, I don't want to hear it no more. I'm not saying nothing else. And that meant no more. There's no more talking. We're done negotiating.
No more jumping on the
bed. No more nothing. And then next time I'm coming in. And all I remember is a fist coming through. It caught me in my chest. It felt like I went down in the mattress. But I tell you, when I came out of the mattress, went right to sleep. Didn't hear nothing else from me. So
I would slept in the mattress.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? And so, and it wasn't from hatred. It wasn't to be mean. It was just, it's discipline. It's about discipline. And I think, this world is losing focus on what love is. Just
Yeah.
because you discipline someone doesn't mean that
Exactly.
you don't love them.
I agree.
Just because you hold or you set a standard doesn't mean that you don't care. It actually, you do care for that person.
Exactly.
Because, and I share with my daughter, when you get out into this world, the world is very unforgiving. And the world is not going to take excuses. It's not going to take alibis. You're either going to perform or you're not going to perform.
Yeah.
Because if I'm paying you, you're going to perform. And if I'm paying you and you're not performing, then I'm going to pay somebody else. So we try to. I've always passed that on to the kids. Take it personal. Be committed to it. Give your 110% all the time. Be coachable. Be likable. Be respectful. And God is going to bless you.
Man,
But you have to
I would have had him as a father. You know, man,
Thanks,
I
man.
think it's all right.
Well, they know. You know that's the hair on the back, man. I don't like being late. I think that just shows us being responsible and in consideration. That just makes it. That's for me. That's just one of my things. I really like being on time.
Well, before we get to Sydney, I wanted to touch. You were at Mason College. You go to Oregon, All-American Oregon. Then you get drafted.
Drafted to Chicago Bears in 1986. Year
What
after they
round?
won the Super Bowl. So I was after this year.
Oh, so you weren't in the Super Bowl
No,
shuffle.
no. We did something like that, but I wasn't the street.
We
I
were
got
arguing
there.
about that.
I got there the year after they won the Super Bowl, and as you could well imagine, that was probably the most prolific team that will ever come through the NFL.
Oh man,
You had Walter Payton, you had
the
Willie
fridge.
Gault, you had a
Man.
prolific. You had 10 out of 11 were all pro on defense.
Best defense
Best
ever assembled
ever.
in the NFL.
I don't-
Buddy Ryan.
Yeah, Buddy Ryan, but again, his scheme with the talent.
Yeah.
You had linebackers that could cover running backs. Singletary in the middle.
Wilson.
Wilbur
Otis
Marshall.
Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, Refrigerator Perry,
Richard Dent
Richard
coming
Dent,
off the
Dave Durson,
Ooh, Doers.
Mike Richardson. And then on the line you had Steve McMichael,
man.
and you had
the Hampton.
Dan Hampton.
Yeah.
You had, I mean, they were just loaded, and not just first. You had the second. You had Ron Rivera backed up Mike Singletary. Ron was no joke. From here, he coached. Is now coaching in with Panthers.
And see, a lot of that came from them losing prior to the Super Bowl. They were
really?
able to get those high draft picks.
Right.
A lot of those guys, Singletary, Wilbur Marshall,
Uh-huh.
and those guys were like high first round draft
Perfect.
picks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Really
never
gold.
knew the history on how they were drafted, but it was a shock going to practice with them because, and that's why I learned a lot, and I try to pass this and instill this onto my guys. And I had it in me at Oregon, but I got to see it all guys. Practice was like a game. So, and I tell my guys now, game should be easy. If you practice right, game time is easy. How you prepare yourself makes your game, decides how your game's going to be. So if you practice at 80%, you're not going to get to 100% in the game. It ain't going to happen. So I learned that kind of complemented my work ethics in Oregon. When I got to Chicago, hard work is always going to prevail.
What round did you get drafted?
5th round.
5th round.
Yeah.
There was like 12 rounds then, or 17.
There were
146.
there were at that time, I think 9 or 10 rounds. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they just shortened it like somewhere.
They're like 6. I think they're like. Well, really, I talked to a young man about this yesterday. You really have in the NFL draft really 5. Those first 5 rounds are pretty critical. Your first, second, and third round should make the team.
You expect them
Expected to make the team.
Yeah.
4th rounder is a good player, just not good enough to be drafted real high. 5th rounder, where I was drafted, you got to put in some work. So your 6th, 7th, and 8th rounders, they got in there, but it's going to be pretty tough. But you have those 6th, 7th, and free agents that make the team because for one reason or another they get overlooked. It's not really a reflection of talent, but when you just look at the expectations, those rounds, those first few rounds are very, very critical. I was actually fortunate, and I made the team as a 5th rounder, and they actually released a 3rd rounder.
Wow.
I played the same position.
Wow.
Ooh,
And it was, I came in. I came with the attitude. I worked hard. It was 95 degrees, 95% humidity, And I would
that
shut
goes
down.
back to that Salola,
Felicia
Hornet,
Park, Hornet,
you know what I'm saying?
whole training.
Upbringing.
Big player didn't play. I mean, there was no.
Tell them the story about the dogs.
Oh, the dogs. Oh. I shared that. This is a true story. In Pop Warner, our coach had Dobermans. And you're at the mountain on the
Shuney Road.
Shuney. Coach Robinson. You know.
Yeah.
Didn't play. Did not play. We would be at the base of the mountain, and he'd be at the top with the Dobermans. He said, when I say go, I'm letting them go. And he let them go. And in our mind, we thought the dogs weren't going to bite us, but we're kids. The dogs playing, they chasing us down for play, but in our mind, the dogs coming to eat us. So we had to run from the base to that fence and get up that fence before the dogs got there. So that was our training environment. But that's how they got the best out of us. And that's what carried over to Lincoln, to Oregon, to Mesa, to the NFL. Hard work, no problem. I'm used to being chased by dogs.
That was an old school speed trainer. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But you have to have and I think that allowed me to be successful at my size and at my weight. That allowed me to be successful because I learned how to bring out everything in my body. They taught me how to get everything out. You can't function if you go in at 80%. You're not going to function. You got to be able to find a way to trigger that I guess the endorphins and get all the chemicals to go so that you can really perform. And that's what allowed. That's what it is.
So Sydney, did you know your dad was such an accomplished athlete and such a stud? And
Yeah.
She probably heard it 1,000 times.
I have. It's a story you can't really get tired of because it kind of it's who I am as well.
Right.
So, but I've watched so many tapes,
Oh.
talked to so many of his old former players. So it's something that I've grown up hearing all the time.
So does he whip out the pit bulls and then
Doberman? She's out jumping. Gotta step up the speed on her, boy.
Sydney, you had a big day yesterday, right?
Yes.
All right, tell us about your big day yesterday. Long jump, triple jump, right?
Long jump, triple. So long jump, I came in 8th out of 9, or 8 out of 9, or 7th out of 10. I don't know. I was low seeded. I wasn't really expected to make it to state.
Okay.
And then my first couple jumps were kind of what I usually jump, 16, 17. And then I think it was on my 5th jump, I told myself, I'm just going crazy on this jump. I'm not going to even worry about my technique. I'm just going to jump.
Right.
And I did it, and I jumped. The qualifying mark was 18.1, and I jumped 18.2.
Wow.
And that was it.
That's
I made
a
it.
PR.
Yes, it was.
At the right time,
Right.
you know.
So you came in first.
I came in 2nd. This other girl, Holly, she jumped 18.10 something.
Wow.
She didn't come to play at all.
Cheater.
She came.
Yeah.
She
Her
really,
dad has Dobermans too. Then.
And then for triple jump, I was seated 2nd, finished 2nd. I didn't really have the best day with triple jump. I felt like I could have done a lot better. I was behind my PR by 1 inch, or not even an inch, less than an inch. But I still made it. I didn't hit the qualifying mark, but because I came in 2nd, top 3 make it, and so that
So
was
you're going to state. You're going to trip to Fresno, right?
Yep.
That's what we talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Congratulations.
Yeah. So hopefully you bust the 1810 up there. Or
Hopefully.
19.
19s, 40s.
Yeah, you know, and remember your dad's speeches and stuff. Calm,
So when you're warming up in the infield, and you probably have the headphones on, right? No
Get
headphones?
disqualified.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
no electronics.
Oh,
Kids
good.
aren't allowed
Good
to have
for
no
them.
electronics on the field.
I know. I couldn't run anyway. I rolled everywhere I went.
Good form of
Okay, so how about before we get underway? What do you do?
Music doesn't really
Okay.
hype me up. For me, I don't know. I don't really have a
A zen
Mm-mm.
moment.
I just go out there. Maybe I need to find one, but I don't really have like a ritual. Like I don't have lucky socks, lucky earrings. Like some people, you know, they wear the same socks or they wear a certain like hairstyle. Like this is my first time wearing this hairstyle jumping, so I don't really
So
have.
are you gonna wear it next week?
Now you do.
Now I have
a lucky hairstyle.
Yeah, but I just go out there. I have fun. Like I get to know the girls that are jumping and competing because we see them throughout the whole season. You see them from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. So I say good morning to them. You know, we talk. I warm up how I usually warm up. A little longer warm up than I do at practice, just to wake my muscles up because in the morning it's always hard. And then I just look for advice from my coach when I do my run throughs and.
See, so you have a coach at home and at school.
Kinda. He used to be when I used to run for Instep free track. He was my coach, and that was interesting.
She established the boundary really pretty early on.
Did she?
Yeah, we made an agreement that I wouldn't coach at home. So I kind of respected her wishes, and I let the coaches coach.
And I noticed yesterday I didn't hear you doing a whole lot of, you know, they always, your arms, lean back, look at the sky, you're not rolling, you know, I didn't see you doing all that.
I don't do that. First of all, I don't have the background in track, so why would I compromise my daughter?
And the track coach that's there.
And exactly, she's got a coach, and I as a coach, I coach high school football, and I don't mean to cut into this, but I think as a parent, sometimes you need to sit down and keep your mouth shut and let the coach coach.
Thank you.
And let the kid, because you have to teach your kids, like I said, the lesson when I got to Oregon, all the coaching staff changed. So your kids have to be coachable, and they have to learn to respect leadership. And so I try to instill that in her, so I don't never overstep my boundaries with the coaches. I think all coaches should be, if that's the coach, that's the rule, and that's what I've taught her. Whoever you're under, that's who you follow. You have to learn to accept leadership.
That's big.
Yeah. So, Sydney, do you do anything other than the long jump and triple jump or any other events?
I ran the hurdles.
Oh,
I ran the 100 hurdles and the 300 hurdles.
Okay.
Hate the 300 hurdles. I call it Satan's race because at the end of my legs are on fire, my lungs are on fire. I'm like, I can't. There's a last hurdle. This hurdle, I promise you, the other hurdle is like really, small. And you get to this hurdle, in reality, it's the same size as the other hurdles, but it looks like it's about that tall, and you're just like, and it's right near the finish line, and so that hurdle takes a lot.
You don't cuss, do you?
Oh no!
Huh?
I haven't heard her say.
No way.
But that last hurdle makes you want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 100 hurdles I did okay. I was in league. I was I think second. But I didn't run them during league because it was having to run the hurdles and then long jump and then 300 hurdles and then triple jump. The 100 hurdles and long jump always fall around the same time, and 300 hurdles and triple jump always fall around the same time. So something suffers, and usually it's my triple jump, which is my favorite event.
Okay.
So we decided not to run the hurdles at all.
Yeah, because I see you guys would have to run back and forth from the pit to the blocks.
Yeah. And you have time limits, so if you exceed the time limit, you're scratched out of the event. So it's just less stress too.
Any other sports?
I cheer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I cheer for VP.
Okay.
Since when I was from 3rd grade to 8th grade.
Nice.
I cheered under Patina Geeston and Lovey, Coach Lovey.
Coach Lovey. Yeah, shout out. That's my girl.
She's great. Yeah, that was fun. Cheering for VP was fun. All my friends, I used to cheer for Nathan. What's his last name? Nate Stinson, Jihad, Derek, Mai, all the big kids now, the ones going to all the other schools, cheered for them, and I met all my friends. That's where all my friends are from.
Okay.
So it's fun. I miss cheering for VP. That was real fun.
You cheered Olympian?
Yes, I cheered Olympian for varsity all 4 years.
Nice.
Captain for 2.
Oh man, just like Pops.
I thought you ran the relays.
I ran them. I think I ran them last year.
Yeah, I thought so.
I don't like the relays.
What?
everybody always says, like, you know, what that's the most fun event. I'm like, yeah, but it is also the most stressful event, because even though you're running as a team, it's still your race for that one leg, and you have to get the baton, give the baton, stay in your lane, stay in the zone, you know, make sure you have the right mark, don't take off too early, it's
That's
just,
too much.
That's why you race first leg.
Are you sure you Lew's daughter? Because you know he loved a challenge and adversity.
I liked it, but it's just, I know where I like to be, and I don't really, actually, quite frankly, I like jumping more than I like sprinting.
Okay, but
So.
aren't you one of the 4 or 5 fastest girls at the school?
Yeah.
Exactly. Supposed to be
Coach Wheeler.
I mean, it'll help the relay team, right? Well,
Sure.
you go to state or something.
But again, that blends back to that's a coach's decision.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't put on the relay. I mean, and don't get me wrong, if he says send you on the relay, I work hard. Like, if
Right,
it's
okay.
not,
That's where I was going.
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's not like I'm not gonna like make myself. If he says you're on the relay, I'm on the relay, and I'm working hard. I'm getting, I get done what I need to be done. But I mean, if he puts me in things, I run them. I do it 100%. Even though I might not like them, I do it because it's for the team. But I wasn't put on it, so I was like, I ain't gonna complain.
Did they drop the baton
No,
last week? Did they run yesterday?
no, we didn't make it to the
4x1.
4x1.
I'm talking about the 4x1. That's what I'm talking about.
They took one of the girls off of it to save her legs for a different race. So
And so they weren't able to.
yeah, their time went
So
down.
without you and her, no CIF.
It's all right. She's going to state.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know,
man.
some of the coaches to make a decision. And it's tough, and it's hard, because you have to think of what's best for the athlete.
Right.
And sometimes it's a sacrifice.
Some your team or individual.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to pick.
It's a tough decision for a lot of coaches. It's challenged every day.
Well, guys, not only did she do it on the track, but in the classroom, right? What's your GPA?
This semester, well, both last semester, both senior year, I got a 4.4, and then
That's all.
That's our cumulative right here.
No,
Altogether.
cumulative is 4.1 because sophomore year I got like 3.6, 3.8, so I was
Oh, you
kinda
been
like,
ashamed of yourself. 3.6.
yeah,
Just kidding.
3.6.
4.4.
Tough year.
Tough year.
So what are you gonna major in? You thinking?
I
What are you
have no
interested in?
idea.
Oh, okay.
My 3 were I wanted to be a defense attorney, or I wanted to go into medicine and maybe become a emergency physician, or I wanted to go into the become a pilot.
Whoa.
So
Nah,
3
man.
that have no correlation at all, but those are the 3 I
What are your
wanted.
top 3 schools?
LSU is number 1, KU is number 2, and then Ohio State.
Ooh.
That's in Cali.
she thinks big.
I only applied to one school in California,
Which one?
Berkeley. And that was it.
Well, so is it for academics or athletics? Or
For the
both?
schools?
Yeah.
Both. I really wanted to go to a school that had a big sports program because I love watching sports. Even though I might not know anything about the sport, I love going to sporting events. So I found the schools that I saw had good academics and also had a good sports environment because I like being around that type of. I like being in environments.
Very good schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with either one of those.
No way, not at all.
For the benefit, my family's from Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
and then her mom is from Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so there's family ties.
Not necessarily. That's not why, but she just
Yeah.
really like.
I mean,
It-
yeah,
it
you
just
know,
so
you can
happened. I
go
was like,
see great grandma, cousin Lucy,
Yeah.
what's his name? Uncle Jeffro. Right, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
San Diego State's not in consideration.
never.
Really?
You've been there a million times.
I didn't even want to apply to UCLA, Long
close to
Beach,
home?
too close. Because I would always tell my counselor, I said, I'm too comfortable in San Diego, and I need to get somewhere where I'm uncomfortable, because if I'm uncomfortable, then I work better.
Wow.
And so if I'm
That's
somewhere where I'm,
discipline right there.
That's cool.
if I'm around people, I know how they act, and I know how the people are. You know, I'm gonna get used to that, and then when I get into a career, my job, I'm not gonna really know how to handle the new different people. So that's why I was so excited to graduate high school, because I'm tired of being in. I love it there, but it's too comfortable. And when you get too comfortable, you start losing, like, I guess, pressure. You're not pushed to be the best. Yeah, you're not pushed to be your best. And so
that's true. You know, a lot of people have to leave, you know, their hometowns just to get away from a lot of the negatives and stuff. You know, the comfort zone.
Right.
I've seen so many people that were stuck here, you know, because of their addictions, their choices. Then as soon as they leave town, next thing I know, hey man, I got me a condo. I'm doing this, got 2 cars, you know, got a good job. As long as they were here in their comfort zone, they would resort back to their old habits.
You can always come home.
Yeah.
San Diego's
never going to change.
Yeah.
I think most kids is really beneficial to get out of, to leave. Like she said, you know, I'm happy she's leaving. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to miss her, but at the same time, I know it's a necessary
part of her
growth and part of, you know, for her to develop and to get out on her own. And too many kids, you know, some kids is good, some kids is not the best thing for them, but for a kid that can move on, it actually it's the best thing for her. And I think she's going to do exceptionally well.
Yeah, and you know, whatever she decides to do, you know, in the long run, she's going to be good at it. Whether it's a policeman, woman, or a doctor, or a teacher, you know, you don't have to worry about seeing her on some crime report.
She's been very committed. I mean, we've been very blessed. I mean, with her and her as a parent, it couldn't have been any easier. She's very self-driven. She earned her 4.0. She earned her ability to make it to state. We just provided the atmosphere and the support. So we just, you know, we're that foundation. But she's earned everything that she's got. And she hasn't stolen it. She hasn't cheated it. She's sometimes at night the light's on at 1 o'clock in the morning, and when I leave to go to work, the light came back on, and so she put in her work. She earned. She's a hard worker, and smart and talented. So just like I say, it's just a great combination
with some good DNA to throw in there. Huh?
My wife's a teacher. She's been teaching at Johnson for 25 years. And so she, you know,
I'm hating all y'all. Man, you know, man, get them out of here. Man.
She's done an exceptional job. My wife has done a great job in being a good role model for her, and has helped to, you know, we've worked together to create the environment that hopefully she, you know, would be successful in. So we're reaping the benefits and the blessings. God's been very good to us. We've received a lot of blessings, and so I thank God every day for the opportunity and His influence and His spirituality that dwells within us.
Amen. On a Sunday, you know.
Well, Sydney, you seem like really mentally tough too. I mean, the upbringing you created that atmosphere of being mentally tough. Like a lot of guys I helped get scholarships for, they come back in 1 year.
It was the coach's fault.
Yeah.
He made me smoke that
like
weed.
You're be coming back, you know, quitting and stuff like that.
No, I don't. I'm not a quit. This is funny you say that. This year I was. Last year I tore my meniscus in September, and went through physical therapy all the way through January, and then started the season up again, and still made it to CIF finals. And I was challenged with this coming into this school year, whether I wanted to cheer or whether I wanted to run track, because this is a very crucial year. And I said, you know, I can't quit on my cheer team, but I also have to think about myself. And so I actually found instead of having to choose between which one to give up, I found a way, even though they didn't like it. I had double practices almost every day. Cheer practice for 2.5 hours and track practice for another 2 hours. And so, yeah, it was tough. It was really tough, especially during football season, because that's when we cheer a lot the most. And then the fall training and Saturday practice in the morning at like 7 or 8, and then my practices for track didn't end until maybe 9:30 at night, 10. Then I had to go home, do homework. So
yeah, you're mentally tough.
Yeah, I'm there. I work hard for what I.
So you're not in an ASB or Glee Club and all that stuff.
That was you.
I'm a class secretary.
Oh.
I'm a peer counselor in my school, so I counsel kids. I'm in a link crew, so we help the new freshmen get acclimated to the school. and team captain for cheer and team captain for track.
Do you have time to watch TV, go to the movies, any of that kind of stuff? No?
Sometimes.
Favorite movie?
Australia. With
Australia?
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that right. Oh man, she's deep.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. Man. Favorite book?
You know, we read books during these AP books for AP
know.
classes. Catcher in the Rye. I really
That's old school.
It's a really good book, though. It's really interesting.
Well, she's got a different soul. Look.
Wheels has every Dr. Seuss book. There's every
and the next one's on order too. Favorite entertainer? Who you like?
I can answer that one.
Who is it?
Beyonce.
Did you go to concert?
Lemonade.
Oh yes, I had to go. I had league finals, and I won league finals, and went home, took a shower within 10 minutes, and drove to the concert.
Yeah.
Drove?
I mean, well, my mom drove, but yeah, I didn't drive. But
Can't get a small loan for that.
Well, before we go, give your mom a shout out.
Hey, Mom. Love you.
Hey, babe.
Hey,
Good work,
sister.
babe.
Sister Gabrielle, my grandma Omi, cousin Bonnie and Haley, all my friends,
All right,
my
great.
teachers.
Awesome. Well, that was a great show. Thanks for coming, Lew. Barnes.
Our blessing.
Beautiful daughter, Sydney. 4.0 and above. Track star.
Man.
4.1 above. Above. And, good luck in the state.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Lew.
Oh, my blessing.
Iggy,
Yes, sir.
the icon,
Bring back some
Big
barbecue.
Al. We'll be back next week on Coach Rose Show.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming.
Good show.